Hey, how does one start a video? Who knows? It's a mystery. I can't get used to this video thing. But anyway, here I am. Hey, lovely people. I have such an important thing to talk about today. And I wasn't going to do it today, but then I felt like the energy was right. And so here I am. So a few days ago, I had a really great discussion with AIDEN, my Pleiadian guide, and the Council of Pleiadians that he kind of runs around with. If you can imagine a spirit guide running around, there he was converging. Anyway, and our conversation kind of went around, the turn of the year. As the year turns into a new one, we have such great expectations and such great hopes, which is, it's a good feeling. Why shouldn't we? Why shouldn't we have hopes? Expectations are a little bit more tricky, but so we were talking about COVID and kind of the trajectory of the virus. I'm just going to check my notes, make sure I get everything in there. And so what he was saying to me, the virus is consciousness, or has consciousness just like anything else has consciousness on the planet, like a human or a rock or a mushroom or whatever. The virus has its own consciousness, and it expands and contracts and grows in consciousness or detracts in consciousness in proportion to humanity's contraction or expansion in consciousness. And so, while we were kind of like, I feel like there was a lot of expectation at the beginning of the year that as soon as the year turned, we were going to be like on this other trajectory and going into the age of Aquarius, and now the virus was going to recede and blah, blah, blah. And what he was saying to me, what we were discussing, is that the virus, that's not how viruses work. because they expand and contract with humanity's consciousness, they kind of follow our trajectory and they mirror our trajectory as well. So, I said, so what's the timeline? What are we doing here? Because I had heard somebody say it's going to be like a 5-year timeline, whenever there's a plague or whatever, that's really the timeline for a plague to kind of come into its fullness and then recede. And I said, 5 years, holy shit. Nobody wants 5 years of virus. So he said, well, it's about a 2 or 3 year period where it kind of comes to its depletion, where it's run its course and it's kind of had its way. And the reason why that is because our consciousness is evolving through the virus. And we are effectively creating the trajectory of the virus. So I said, well, does that mean another, is it true? Is it going to be another 3 or 5 years? And he said, in a way, yes, it's a 5-year cycle. But after that 5-year cycle, there is a huge expansion in culture, in terms of arts, in terms of medicine, in terms of science, in terms of how we treat each other. And it really made so much sense to me when he said that, because I can see how it would take us a period of time to get acclimatized to the virus, to learn how to live with it, to learn how to not resist it, to even learn how to love it. And then when we're in that space of non-resistance and love with the virus, I know that sounds crazy, then it can allow itself to see that it's done its job. It's opened us in a certain way. It's evoked a certain soul growth within us. And then it can recede. And of course, there's all the physical manifestations of that, as in, how we physically respond, how we build immunity, how science responds to a virus, etc., etc. So, is that good news or is that bad news? I don't know. I feel like in some ways it could sound like bad news, that we have another 2 years, let's say, of expanding into it and growing through it. But in another way, it's really good because it's not 20 years, and it means that we're learning an awful lot, and it means that we're growing a better society. which is really, really what we're after right now. So this very conscious virus expands and shrinks in kind of in mirror of our expanding or shrinking consciousness, is really here to help us to create a better world. And whether we agree or not, whether this is the age of Aquarius coming in, I think I talked about this another time, we are kind of on this precipice of this amazing precipice of being able to either step backwards in our humanity or step forwards in our humanity. And I believe in humanity. I mean, there are days where I say I hate people, and I feel sad. And there were things that happened with me and my household that were really, really tough this last week. And then there was moments where I was like, yeah, humanity, thumbs down. But I got over it and I got through it, and I came back to my usual optimistic. I love humanity, and I really believe that we can come to a better place within ourselves and with each other. Anyway, so the other thing that we were talking about is how it's so easy for us to become hypnotized by what's happening around us, and we tend to become very narrowly focused within ourselves and about what's happening out there. And so a really good tool for right now is to expand ourselves and expand our view by concentrating on things that really feed the soul. And remembering, first of all, that we are star beings. There's so much more to us than this physical armor kind of that we're wearing, this physical body that we trudge through the planet, in. And that, we can remember ourselves as the star beings that we are, the super consciousness that we are, and that there is so much more to us. I'm just watching these clouds go by above Mount Finn, and it's really helping me to understand my words as I'm saying them and seeing how beautiful nature is, and we are nature. And so we can expand and we can widen our horizon and not be so hypnotized by events around us, but be more hypnotized really by the beauty of being human, by the beauty of the planet. Because if we're not consciously thinking about what is right about humanity, we're just going to go down that spiral, and consciousness shrinks, and we're not able to do the things that we really want to do on the planet. So remember who you are is like one of the things that he said to me. He says that to me all the time because I'm always like getting caught up in my humanity and what my human is experiencing, and forgetting that on a soul level I do understand a lot more. I know a lot more. I am a lot wiser than I think I am. And he says to me, why do you keep coming to me for answers? Figure it out on your own, lady. And I'm like, well, he says, if I trust myself more, then I won't need to speak to him as much. But, I kind of like talking to him. So, so it's just like a quick little message saying, hey, you're so freaking amazing. You're wonderful, and humanity is wonderful. And although there are factions of humanity that are really responding to the most negative, the most low frequency, lower frequencies, you know what? That's just showing us where we don't want to go. That's just showing us that that's not helping anything. And we can make a choice. We can make a choice of how we want to be in the world. And, one of the best ways to be in the world is to be of service to others. And that really expands us as well and helps us to fight a virus, because viruses respond to our frequency. They respond to our energy. They respond to whether we are in joy or whether we are in fear. Because it's like just part of that huge matrix where we're in it. The virus is in it. The mountain in front of me is in it. My tea is in it. Everything is consciousness. My pen, consciousness. And we expand and contract together. And I've gotten really into this YouTube thing lately, where I've been watching wonderful people who are building tiny homes, who are building permaculture homesteads, who are building a community. And I've been watching a lot of that lately because it helps me to remember that there are good causes and that there are good people. And you're one of them good people. And I'm one of them good people. And so we just really need to hold tight to each other right now and to remember what is true and what is real for us, and to like just not be in resistance to what's happening. Things are happening, they're happening around us. The clouds are moving around me. You know, the dark is falling right now. You know, I'm going to go make dinner. There's always things that are happening that our human is involved in. And it's around us. But we don't have to internalize everything and then make those decisions. Am I going to be in resistance to this? Because a better decision is, hey, it's happening. I'm happening. Life is happening. What are we going to do about it? I'm going to go do something for somebody else. And I'm going to go do something really good for myself as well. And we can't always be happy. That's just like completely unrealistic. We can't always be experiencing something wonderful. I think that those fairy tales have really hurt us. To think that we can be happy all the time, or that we can be, you know, enjoying what's happening around us all the time. We can't. Because the world is just weird, you know, like making videos, that's weird. But we can make those little micro decisions day in and day out about how we're going to deal with things. Anyway, so that's my little message for today. I pulled a card. Coyote. Can you see it? Why don't I read it to you? Hang on one sec. I got to get the book. Number 12, Coyote. That's my spirit name, given to me by an elder when I lived back in Ontario. Okay, here we go. The coyote is the symbol of the sacred trickster, the one who provides detours for growth and understanding by ensuring that things don't go as planned. Kind of sounds like the virus, doesn't it? The coyote brings the energy of divine deception to set you free from the shackles of that which doesn't serve you. Sometimes it appears that you will get everything you want, only to find that coyote brings you the opposite of what you hoped for. At first it may appear confusing, but it is always the most sacred and always for your highest good. So right now the invitation from the coyote is to pay attention to detours and disappointments, as they are true tests of faith. Remembering this, coyote is a sacred trickster and may be leading you into challenges to ensure that you are ready to handle what you've set in motion. Great growth and understanding come to you when coyote calls your name. And that sounds so amazing, and it's amazing for humanity right now too, because we're coming into this great growth period, whether we want it or not. So yeah, I'm going to leave it there with Coyote from the Mystical Shaman Oracle deck. Okay, people, I love you. I did it. Another video. Craziness. We'll talk soon.